Hello viewers, today we would be starting with the chapter 9 excretory system from Selena ICSE. So when it comes to excretory system, we should know that what is excretion. Excretion is nothing but the waste that has to be thrown out of the body, which is basically the nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous waste means nitrogen containing waste. And now what kind of waste our body releases? So these are the waste. So first of all is carbon dioxide and water that is being released through respiration, and it is released by lungs. Next is nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous waste, as I told you, is a nitrogen containing waste that is mainly excreted by kidney. Next is bile pigment, which is bilirubin, and this is being done by liver, and then the liver gives it to the kidney, and ultimately it is thrown out of the body. Next is water. Water is released by both kidney in form of urine and by skin also through sweat. Next is excess salt plus vitamin. Vitamins are basically the water soluble vitamins that could be excreted out. So this is vitamin B and C. Rest of the vitamins, they stays inside our body. And excess salt and vitamin, it is being done with the help of skin, that is excess salt, and even the kidneys also does the same work for us. So now when it comes to, so I've given you this brief idea of all these things, that is substance to be eliminated, along with what are those substances, and these also nitrogenous waste, excess salt, water, bile, everything. Now next we come to the topic excretory organs. So excretory organs, most of us, we have already covered it, most of them. So kidney is the main organ which is going to throw our nitrogenous waste out of the body. Next is the skin, which releases excess salt and water during perspiration, and yes, it helps in cooling also. Next is the lungs. Lungs, it releases carbon dioxide, like when we inhale and exhale. Exhaled thing is nothing but carbon dioxide and water, which is released during respiration, and it is thrown out by our body. And the fourth one is liver. This is important. Liver, basically it detoxifies ammonia. Detoxify means, like in our body, from food and other things, ammonia is being formed. Now ammonia is very very harmful for our body. So ammonia from less is converted into less harmful thing, that is urea. No doubt both of them are quite harmful, but ammonia is even more harmful than urea. So ammonia would be first of all converted into urea, and urea would be going to the kidney. And ultimately it would be thrown out of our body through urine, which is, of course, I told you, is the kidney performs this excretion of nitrogenous waste. Urea is one of the nitrogenous waste. Urea, uric acid, which are nitrogen containing. Next we come to very important topic, kidney. Diagram is very very important, and if you have seen the previous year papers, the diagram was asked in 3 marks question to be drawn. So don't leave this or skip this diagram, it's very easy, and yes, scoring as well. So in this diagram you can see, we'll write human urinary system. Here we cannot write human excretory system. Why? Because in excretion it's not only the kidneys, but also we have skin, lungs, liver. So that is why it is written urinary. Urinary will show that we are talking about the nitrogenous waste that is being done by kidney. Excreted, kidney doesn't do any work of its own, just it's excrete out the waste, that is nitrogenous waste, that is urea and uric acid. Okay, so seeing this diagram, let us see this. If you see your left and right hand, this thing is your left hand side, right? So whatever is left to you for diagram, it is right hand side, right? Remember that. Also you must have done the same kind of labeling of left and right in heart also. So here also you have to remember the same thing. This is the right kidney, this is the left kidney. You can see above the kidneys we have got these 2 glands, adrenal gland. The detailing would be coming in the endocrine system, so there you are going to do that, the location and everything. Also along with that we have this pipe kind of thing that is being connected to urinary bladder. This pipe like thing is called ureter, and this thing is urinary bladder, where urine is going to be stored for some time and then it would be excreted out. Here we have here these small black dots. These are sprinter. Sprinter is going to control the movement of urethra. This is not urethra, this actually is urethra, this one, right? They have just labeled sprinter only, urethra in the diagram. So this small pipe kind of thing is urethra. Okay, now here you have to remember a few things, that what is the shape of the kidney, that is bean shaped. First of all, this is the question. Second, where is the location? So you will say that it is located either side of the backbone and is protected by the last. See, this protecting writing is not there in the location part, but yes, if you want to write, you can mention that, and you might get the question how many ribs protected. So last two ribs protect the kidney. And yes, this is important, right one is slightly lower. This kidney is slightly lower. Why? Because above this kidney would be liver, so in order to accommodate liver, this is placed little lower than the left one. Also, it is seen that this kidney is slightly smaller in size, right? So this is slightly smaller in size. Okay, here smaller is written, but it should be this kidney, the right one is slightly lower and smaller, right? It is smaller. Why? Because again I told you, it has to accommodate liver above it, so the size is smaller, and this is slightly lower than the right, not the right, left kidney. Okay, now after that, if we cut this longitudinally, I hope you understand, cutting it lengthwise, so you will see this kind of structure inside, and this labeling, both the diagrams, very very important. Again, you might be asked to draw it, or you might be asked for the labeling of some specific part, and based on that you could be asked question. Okay, so you can see it has got two regions. One is this region, right, which is little darker, and it is called cortex. This darker region is called cortex. And see here, this is not visible, so medulla, the inner, so this darker one is cortex and the lighter portion is called medulla. This you have to remember, means this has got two section, kidney has got two section, one is light region, one is dark region. Lighter one is called medulla, and the darker one is called cortex. Okay, now after that, if you see it little more closely, you can see the pyramid kind of structures here, right? These pyramid are called renal pyramids, right? These are called renal pyramid. Renal, remember the word renal, renal is related to kidney. So renal pyramids are there. In between you can see there are gaps in between the pyramids. There are gaps. These gap doesn't mean there is air, of course not, means there is no pyramid, right? There are gaps between two pyramids, is called renal column. It is called a renal column. And yes, this part, you can say the edge of this part, that is the pyramid, ultimately that is called hilum. This you can see, the edge part is called hilum, right? This is called hilum. And if you just go further of hilum, you can see here they all are meeting at a common point here. So this region, cup like structure, is called pelvis. So this pelvis is actually going to collect all the urine which would be generated by this portion, right? And it would be poured here in this region, in the pelvis, and ultimately this pelvis is connected to this pipe. Again, this pipe is nothing but ureter. If you remember here, this is ureter, right? So inside the kidney we have such kind of structure, and urine, as soon as it is formed and it is being poured here in this region, a common region, and then ultimately from the pelvis it is taken by the ureter to the urinary bladder, where it would be stored for temporary purpose, and then it would be thrown out of the body. Yes. And yes, what is maturation? Maturation is the urgency to urinate, right? So then what will happen? The sprinter muscles will open and they will relax, means here this thing will relax and the urine would be thrown out of the body, and ultimately again it would become tense as soon as the urine will start collecting. Means after you urinate, again these muscles, they become tensed and they ultimately keep the urinary bladder closed until unless you have again the urgency to go to loo. Okay, now next is, what is the difference between excretion and secretion? Important question. See, excretion is something which is not at all useful for us and it is harmful. So as I was saying, excretion is something which is not at all useful for our body, and if it remains inside our body, it might be very, very harmful. And secretion is something which body releases so that the other things can function properly. For example, like if you have heard about the hormones are released by our body, like insulin. You must have heard about insulin or thyroxine, so these things are the secretion which our body releases so that our body can function properly. And yes, the tears and sweat, saliva, milk, insulin, whatever are these things given out of this, only this is harmful. Rest all are used by our body for some or the other purpose. For example, tears are there, so it is going to nourish your eye and it is going to balance the moisture. Sweat, yes, it is used to remove excess heat also. Saliva, of course, is important for the food to get moistened up and all. Milk is of course given to to the infant, or to the, like if cow is there, so we are using that. Insulin, I told you already, it is going to reduce the blood sugar level. So we would be covering it till here only in this video. In the next video I will continue with the chapter